Walk into Costco right now, and everything looks calm. Pallets are stacked, samples are out, and the prices? Mostly unchanged. But what you're seeing is not what's coming. December 2025 is about to shake up what we pay, and even what we find in Costco aisles across the country. Why? Because behind the scenes, price shifts, shortages, and import restrictions are lining up like dominoes. And by the time folks realize what's happening, the shelves might not look so welcoming. If you like being prepared instead of surprised at checkout, here are 10 foods you should absolutely grab before December hits. Let's break it down, starting with number 1, which might sound simple but is getting hit the hardest. 1. Butter and dairy. Yes, it starts with butter. Boring, right? Except that boring little stick is about to become a luxury item. We're already seeing it. Kirkland's 4-pack of butter jumped from around $13 to nearly $16 at some locations recently. And some suppliers say we haven't even hit the peak yet. Why this sudden shift? 3 main reasons. A nasty wave of avian flu has hit dairy cows, not chickens this time, in key states. Dairy feed prices are still high after poor global grain harvests. And to top it off, transport costs are climbing again due to fuel issues. All of this means butter equals more expensive, milk equals more expensive, cheese, cream, sour cream, yogurt, you get the picture. Now here's your move. Stock up. Step by step. Buy in bulk, but not too much. Butter can be frozen, but not milk. Slice butter into halves or quarters. Wrap in foil or freezer bags. Label with the date and toss it in the freezer. You're good for up to 6 months. If you bake, cook, or even just throw a splash of cream into coffee, this is the time to get ahead. Especially with holidays approaching. Imagine trying to bake a birthday cake or batch of cookies and realizing everything dairy costs double what it used to. Spending $20 now saves you $40 later. Do the math. 2. Olive oil, Kirkland Extra Virgin. Look, if you've never had a relationship with olive oil, it might be time. This stuff is liquid gold, both in flavor and price lately. Costco's Kirkland Signature 2-liter bottle is still one of the best values on the market, but storms are brewing, literally. Europe's olive harvest has been wrecked by droughts again. Italy, Spain, Greece, all struggling. Add in higher tariffs on EU imports, and suddenly that $27 bottle could be selling for over $35 before Christmas. In some U.S. states, folks are already reporting price jumps of $6 or more. Why care? Because for cooking almost anything, from tossing veggies in your oven air fryer to salad dressings, stir-fries, grilled meats, it's unbeatable. Canola and vegetable oil just don't compare. Stock up tip. Olive oil lasts 18 to 24 months from the harvest date. Store it cool and dark, not on the counter next to the stove. If you're not going through bottles fast, buy smaller sizes. And here's the kicker. Seasoned shoppers are treating olive oil like an investment. Not kidding. They're walking out with 4 to 6 bottles per trip. It's one of those things you don't realize you missed until your cart feels $40 heavier. 3. Coffee, ground or whole bean. You might want to sit down for this one, hopefully with a cup. Coffee beans have gone up 60% in some places since the beginning of 2025. That bag of Kirkland Colombian roast that used to cost under $10, some members are seeing it climb closer to $16, depending on the region. Why? Combination of natural low-yield cycle years in Brazil and Colombia. Tariff rumors. 100% of Brazilian beans have actually been proposed. And lingering drought effects from South America are still rippling through supply chains. Remember, Coffee trees don't just bounce back in a year, it takes time, which means this shortage won't be fixed quickly. Don't wait until it becomes a limited 2 per customer situation. Some warehouses are already testing out those limits. Stock up strategy. Buy a few bags now. Store ground coffee in an airtight tin, or even double bag it in the freezer. Whole bean coffee stays fresh even longer. Just grind what you need. Here's the reality. Paying 25 cents per cup from Costco at home versus $8 lattes in shops, there's no contest, especially when prices pop again in December. 4. Imported pasta and tomato sauce. Here's one thing people miss. Everyone's so focused on protein and produce that basic pantry staples sneak past. But pasta, canned or jarred sauces? You'll want to check those. Several major Italian brands have already begun slowing their U.S. shipments due to long customs delays and worries about climbing tariffs. Supply is tightening, and tomatoes, especially those imported vacuum-packed San Marzanos everyone loves for sauce, are under major cost pressure. Some distributors warn this could be a repeat of 2022, when severe shortages made organic pasta nearly vanish from shelves. What to do? Stock up on dried pasta with long dates, 12 to 24 months shelf life. Look for Kirkland Signature marinara or store brand jars. Solid value, long shelf life. Store in a cool pantry. Avoid heat, it ruins sauces fast. Once winter hits and that comfort food craving kicks in, the last thing you'll want is to pay $10 for a 4-serving bowl of spaghetti at home. 5. Cereal and oats. The price movement here hasn't made headlines yet, but that just means those who pay attention now can get in early. Grain yields around the world have been uneven. Between dry spells in the Midwest and flooding in China and India, oat and wheat output is unstable. Oatmeal, especially organic and steel-cut, already shows price hikes at select warehouses. And with breakfast cereal, things are getting weird. Import brands like Weetabix or European Organic Muesli already disappearing from some Costco locations. Ongoing delays, supply chain bottlenecks, something's brewing. Why it matters. Cereal is fast, shelf-stable, and family-friendly. Once supply tightens, shoppers hoard. Remember 2020? Stock up guidance. Big bags or 2-packs sealed and stored in airtight containers can stay fresh for months. Oats? Super versatile. Not just for breakfast, also great in banana bread, granola, smoothies. And if you've got kids, missing cereal equals morning chaos. Better to have a few boxes backed up in the pantry than panic buy when they disappear. That's 5 down, half the list, but each one sets up your kitchen to ride out what could be a pretty wild winter. Think of it as filling your food insurance plan. 6. Frozen berries. Here's the quiet one no one sees coming. Organic frozen blueberries, strawberries, berry blends, all staples in the Costco freezer section, are quietly inching towards scarcity. So, what's going on? For starters, cold-stored produce only looks unlimited on shelves. In reality, much of what you see today was harvested months ago. And the 2025 growing season? Unexpectedly weak, especially in the Pacific Northwest and Canada. Late frosts in spring hit berry crops hard. California's water restrictions made it worse. And in South America, workers' strikes at key shipping ports are delaying anything coming up from Peru or Chile. Added up, and frozen berries, usually something you buy without thinking, might become a bit of a luxury. Why this matters. Between smoothies, oatmeal toppings, baking, and kids' snacks, frozen berries stretch far and keep well. Plus, they're immune to fresh fruit spoilage. Stock up plan. Costco's large frozen bags are resealable, ideal for portioning. Load up on 2 to 3 family favorites and rotate. Berries hold quality in the freezer for up to 12 months, sometimes longer. You don't need a second chest freezer in the garage, just a drawer with a bit of space and a little strategy. 7. Rice and grains. When global supply chains get weird, rice is always one of the first affected. Right now, we're seeing ripple effects that make this a smart, short-term stock-up. India, the world's #1 rice exporter, especially of basmati and parboiled varieties, implemented shipment bans earlier this year. The goal? Fighting domestic inflation. But the consequences? U.S. buyers are scrambling. Costco's big bags of jasmine, basmati, quinoa, and wild rice blends have already gone through some variety substitutions. It's subtle if you're not tracking labels, but it's happening. Also, quinoa imports from Bolivia are down, Thai rice freight costs are up, and some U.S. processing plants might not fill demand by the holidays. Why should you care? Rice isn't just a dinner side, it's a food security staple. When meat goes up or veggies are limited, rice stretches the meal. Kids love it. It stores beautifully. The move. Choose 10 to 20-pound bags. Store in sealed plastic containers or mylar bags. Bonus if filled with oxygen absorbers, if you're being extra. Brown rice has a shorter shelf life, about 6 months. White rice and jasmine last year. Want protein too? Grab rice-lentil blend packs. And if your family's go-to dish involves stir-fry, curry, gumbo, or stuffed peppers, better to get your base ingredients squared away now. 8. Protein bars and snack packs. These were once thought of mostly as gym snacks or road trip fuel. Now, they've become weekday breakfast options, lunchbox fillers, even post-school or post-meeting pick-me-ups. But rising whey costs, higher almond and peanut prices, and import delays on dates, cacao, and other raw materials have driven wholesale costs up 20 to 40% in the last year. Some warehouses are already seeing gaps in brands like Cliff, Kind, RX Bar, and even Kirkland's own protein bar packs. Some stores haven't restocked in weeks. Others are limiting online quantities per customer. Want convenience without paying the price in December? Here's what you do. Don't overbuy flavors that sit. Stick to your top 2 or 3. Store bars in their original box in a dry, room temperature cabinet, preferably not near a window. Check expiration dates. Most stay good 6 to 12 months minimum, even longer unopened. And here's the thing. Having quick, no-cook, nutrient-dense snacks on hand isn't just nice during the holidays. It's a sanity saver. Buy while they're still available and affordable. 9. Almond milk and non-dairy alternatives. You've probably noticed almond milk, oat milk, soy milk, and even coconut milk getting a bigger slice of Costco's refrigerated section. What you might not have noticed is the creeping price surge hiding behind the carton. Let's break it down. Almond prices are still impacted by drought in California, the top producer. Global demand for oat milk keeps climbing, but Canadian oat yields dropped this year. Coconut milk imports are being slowed down by tariff changes and shipping delays from Southeast Asia. Costco isn't immune. Its signature 6-pack of shelf-stable almond milk has quietly kicked up in price in parts of the U.S. And if you use it as a milk replacement in coffee or baking, it adds up. Best trick? Prioritize the shelf-stable cartons. They last for 9 to 12 months unopened. Refrigerated versions are good for flavor, but don't store well long-term. Keep at least 1 to 2 backups if someone in your household relies on plant-based milk. And for shakes, cocoa, overnight oats, or just everyday cereal, it's hard to beat the flexibility and storage advantage of buying now. 10. Canned tomatoes. Nope, they're not glamorous. But if you cook even occasionally, you know how important they are. For chili, pasta sauce, stews, shakshuka, curries, lasagna, quick pizza nights, and tomato prices are heating up, again. California produces 95% of the processing tomatoes in the U.S. But this year's extreme heat waves and tightened water regulations prompted lower than expected yields. Some canning companies are paying more to secure whatever bulk tomato pulp they can lock in. Meanwhile, Italian canned tomatoes are staring down possible tariffs. Thin margins from last year's batch are gone. Tomato paste, whole peeled, fire roasted, they're all inching up. Costco impact. Kirkland diced and crushed tomatoes have stayed mostly steady, for now. Imported brands like Cento or Sclafani are starting to thin out already, depending on warehouse location. Your strategy. Tomatoes are shelf kings. They easily last over a year in your pantry. For small households, consider a mix of larger restaurant-sized cans for batch cooking and smaller sizes to avoid waste. A decent stash now saves you next spring when tomato batched items start getting reformulated due to cost pressure. Trust me, watered-down sauce is no fun. Closing thoughts, but not a summary. Look, none of this is about panic buying or stuffing your garage like it's 2020 again. It's just about looking 3 months ahead instead of 3 days. Every product here has real reasons behind the expected price hikes, and we're not talking about random guesses. We're seeing crop data from 2025, shipping and supply chain reports, internal product notes being mentioned quietly online and echoed by warehouse staff. Costco doesn't announce these changes on banners, but members who watch closely already know how silently these shifts can land. The best part, all 10 of these items store well, don't go to waste quickly, and fit easily into most households' cooking routines. No weird bulk regret here. Whether it's dairy, coffee, pasta, or frozen fruit, stocking up now means steady meals, fewer frustrations, and preserved flavor.